The touchstone in the West, I think, are the landscapes and the sense that anything's possible. The same draw that was so vivid and alive 100 plus years ago is still there. And all you have to do is walk outside anywhere in the West and these big skies and big landscapes, and it feels great to be alive.
People talk about Western values. There's no doubt that there's a rugged individualism, but there's also the underneath of a cooperative attitude of working with each other.
You watch the great Westerns, it wasn't the two gunfighters standing on the street that settled and built the West. It was the people on the board sidewalks, the merchants, the mother, the school teacher, the local rancher. They were the people that came to the West to make a new life.
My father was born in St. John's, in a small little community on the Arizona-New Mexico border. He was the eldest of 6. He was a very good older brother to all his brothers and sisters. And hearing them now tell stories about him, it's amazing how much love there is in this family.
And the story he always told was that Uncle Stewart, when they were kids, threw a big piece of iron up in the air and said, "What goes up must come down." And before my dad could turn around, it landed right on his head and left this permanent bump on his head. So they had
their tussles. But I also have to say about Mark's father, he was like a second dad to me. Uncle Mo was there for me.
When the congressional seat in Arizona came open in 1954, there was a to and fro about which one of them would run for that seat. And the story, at least on our side of the family, was in the end, Stewart said, "I'm the older brother, I'm going to run for the House of Representatives," and my dad acceded to that. Things worked out were in such a way that then he had a second chance and ran for the Congress in '61 in a special election, was elected, and the rest is history.
Mo and Stuart Udall were there for the awakening of the West, for all these major pieces of legislation, the Clean Air Act, the Clean Water Act, the Wilderness Act, the Endangered Species Act.
Dad would be very proud of what he did in Alaska, the Alaska Lands Act and the Alaska Native Indian Lands work that they did as well, and 2 very seminal pieces of legislation that empowered the Native American and Inuit communities in Alaska to pursue their own progress in the way they defined it.
Here were 2 brothers working together. Mo was in the House, chairman of the committee. My father was Secretary of Interior, and so it's a great story about 2 brothers working together to help Native people. In the early 1980s, Robert Redford set up an organization called the Institute for Resource Management. And the interesting title, Resource Management. He wanted the West to be the best that it could, and so he was pulling together summits. He did his last summit, in fact, was on global warming in 1989. And he asked my father to work with him on these issues. Dad and Bob would together be moderators of the summits. They had a great interest in tribes. Redford, over time, I think, and my father became very good friends, and they still are to this day.
My father's friendship with Bob was a logical extension of the friendship he had with Stewart. Stewart and Mo had such similar outlooks, and Bob reached out to my dad to help him, and then that was paid forward when Tom ran for the Congress and I ran for the Congress, and Bob came and campaigned with me in 1998, and it drew a lot of people out that didn't really have much connection to me but love Bob Redford. When he gets on the stage and he speaks from the heart, he's a powerful voice for the West, for what we all hold dear, and I'm truly honored that he's extended that hand of friendship and support to me like he did to my dad.
In a way, it's like Wallace Stegner, who said, you know, our challenge is, and I'm just paraphrasing here, but our challenge is to create a society that is as majestic as our surroundings. And Bob Redford is a visionary trying to do that.
Yeah, he's a Stegner in film. He's a Stegner in taking the public square and educating and inspiring people.
after Dad got out of office, he did some pretty courageous, forward-looking things.
Uncle Stewart was a policy visionary. He was an intellectual entrepreneur. Still to this day, he's always pushing people to think in broader, universal terms. And I still go back and read Uncle Stewart's books. The Quiet Crisis, of course, is a classic, and detailing the history of American conservation in a way that connects to this day. We've got to protect it. We've got to preserve it. Yes, we want to develop economically. Yes, we want to harvest not just the wind and the sun for new energy sources, but if we don't do it right, if we don't do it and keep in a way that keeps faith with those who came before us, we could see a landscape that's not the rich landscape that we grew up experiencing.
I think what's happened is all of us as Westerners have been thinking about what's really important about the West and what are the things we really value, and we're articulating those in a way to be able to elect people that are going to take care of the West and love the West and also utilize it with wise stewardship.
Nobody can fill Mo or Stu Udall's shoes, but we can observe where those footprints lead, and then we can continue in that direction.